Hello everybody, and welcome to Kobe's Classroom, the visual guide for the 5 Futures Rewritten Ultimate Phase 4 versus Shiva and Gaia. This guide was made using the strats that we use on the Materia Data Center. I don't really expect anything to change from here, but you can check for any updates at materiarating.com/FRU. If you're on another data center, things will probably be fairly similar, but check your region's resources for any differences. Without further ado, let's get started. This phase begins with Shiva spawning at either north or south, opposite where Gaia died in phase 3. We're all going to stand to her left to bait some AoEs all in one place. She starts casting Materialization, which will spawn a Fragment of Fate crystal. If this crystal takes any optional damage, say from a misplaced AoE, it will break and you'll be unable to make it to phase 5. Shiva will say, "Come to me, Hraesvelgr," and start to transform. The baited AoE snapshot when the wings appear, so when you see them, move. Throughout this phase, the crystal will do a couple raid wides for you to heal through. Gaia will spawn on the east. Generally, people like to save 2 minutes until she spawns and send all damage onto Gaia until their HPs are roughly equal. When Darklit Dragonsong starts casting, we get into this lineup. 2 people will be marked with a Water Light Party stack. The cast finishes with a raid wide, and 4 people get tethered to each other. These tethers are always on 1 healer, 1 tank, and 2 random DPS. To handle these tethers, we need to do some swaps based on the shape made by them. There's 3 possible shapes. This first one, the bow tie shape, is the shape that we want to make. The 4 tethered players can just move into the towers. For the box shape, we have the tank and eastmost DPS swap, making the bow tie. And then finally, we have the hourglass shape. For this we have the tank and the westmost DPS swap, and then they can stand in the tower. The 4 untethered players can stand on the sides of the boss to bait some proteans, using a west-east priority from the lineup. The tethers harden, and we have one more thing to watch out for here. If both water stacks are on the same side, like they are here, D3 and H2 have them, the untethered water and the player next to them swap. The towers and proteans resolve, and we immediately spread for Spirit Taker, watching out for the crystal, and making sure not to stretch the tethers too far. After Spirit Taker, one of Shiva's wings will start to glow, cleaving that half of the arena. Dodge the wing, and stack up for the water stacks. The main tank will run out to be far from Gaia, immediately after to bait the Somber Dance Tank Buster. This hits twice, with the second hit targeting the closest player. The off tank will swap in and take this. There's another crystal raid wide, and then we split into normal light parties north and south. The bosses will start to cast Archmorn, which hits their highest threat target with 4 aspected party stacks. To handle this, the main tank needs aggro on Shiva, the off tank needs aggro on Gaia, while maintaining second aggro on Shiva for auto attacks. Finally, we have Mourn Afar, which is a stack that we take in the middle. The bosses need to be within 5% HP of each other, or this insta-kills. If the bosses are wildly different in HP, the main tank can run out and sacrifice themselves. To try and keep them balanced, once their HP is similar, we can have Light Party 1 focus on Shiva and Light Party 2 focus on Gaia.
Her awakening is incomplete. Their memories weaken the link. Such impediments to our resonance must be expunged. Come to me, Hraesvelgr. I shall weave a new dragon song.
I told you it would make a great necklace.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think it'll really suit you.
Me? But I thought you should have it.
Next up is Crystallize Time. This will be the hardest mechanic in the entire fight, so I'm going to do my best to make it as simple as possible for you. We get into this east to west lineup during the cast. It finishes with a raid wide, and we all get some debuffs. These debuff groups are always the same, but who gets what group of debuffs is completely random, so you can get any of them, so you have to learn all the positions. We've seen many of these before in Phase 3, so I'll quickly go over the new ones. There's Aero, which is a large AoE knockback. Wormfang, which I'll be calling Blue. The 4 players with this debuff need to stand in a puddle to cleanse this, or they'll die. Wormclaw, which I'll be calling Red. These players need to soak one of the dragon heads flying around, which will drop a cleanse puddle for the blue players. And finally Quietus, which just resolves in raid-wide damage. Now, from our lineup, we're going to have our red ice players step forward, and the red aero players step backwards. This gives these players a west or east priority. To be honest with you, I find doing this more annoying and usually just check my party list for who has the other ice or aero and adjust accordingly. The red ice players will move directly east-west. The red aero will stand southwest and southeast. Gaia casts speed, which we saw in Phase 3. The yellow tether speeds up the traffic lights. These are always north and south, so these are going off first. The purple tether slows them down. These are always a diagonal and will go off last. It's important to check which diagonal the purple tether is. I'm going to go over this mechanic one role group at a time to hopefully sink in the understanding. Firstly, I'll discuss the red aero players, because these guys have the hardest job in my opinion. They stand southwest and southeast, 2 crystals more south than the triangle marker, tucked right into the cubby made by the lines on the floor. The first traffic lights resolve, and the party water stack goes off. The party positions in front of the aero player on the purple tether side to get knocked back. The aero and ice resolve, as well as the first dragon head pops. After this, the player on the purple side can just move into the bottom inner corner of the 4 or 3-way mark, ready to intercept the dragon head. The player on the side with no tether needs to move further south to avoid the traffic light. Immediately after, they'll run up and stand on the bottom inner corner of the waymark to intercept the dragon head. The dragon heads pop, and the purple tether side player needs to move down south to avoid the traffic light. Finally, there will be a light wave coming from the west or the east. You can move into it as it's passing through the middle, and the red arrow specific stuff is finished. Next up, I'll talk about the red ice players. These ones have a pretty easy job. They start off standing directly east and west, in line with the dragon head path, and they can just wait right here until the dragon head reaches them. After the dragon head pops, the player with the untethered traffic light north of them has to dodge south along the wall to avoid the traffic light. The player with the purple tethered traffic light north of them will move up north to join the party stack that will be there. After the second traffic light, these 2 players are just going to continue north, dodging the 3rd traffic light, and dodging through the light wave. Once they've done that, they're finished. Finally, we have all the blue players, and we'll look at a full resolution of the mechanic. To start off, the player with the dark debuff will move to the north purple tether, 2 notches away from the triangle marker, tucked right into the cubby made by the lines on the floor. The other blue players will be stacked with the red arrow at the south purple tether for the water stack. After the water stack, these players will position to be knocked back diagonally opposite towards the dark player. Everyone will group up in that corner for the stack debuff. The red ice player on that side joins them. All of these players move up north to avoid the 3rd traffic light and dodge through the light wave coming from the east or the west. Immediately after dodging through this light wave, the blue players have to prepare to get ready to cleanse their blue debuff by soaking one of the puddles made by the red players. To do this, we have set positions based on the debuff the blue players have. These are color-coded to make it easy to remember. The player with the purple dark debuff will soak the puddle at D. The player with the yellow stack will soak at B. The player with the blue water will soak at 3. And the ice debuff is kind of just left over, so they take the 1 at 4. These puddles will disappear. If they're not soaked in time, Sprint can help you a lot here. While doing this, a light wave will start moving from the north to the south. Once all the puddles are soaked, we need to position to place our rewinds. The quietest raid wides will also happen here. We place our rewinds around the waymark where both light waves started from. In this example, the light wave started west and south, so we would place our rewinds at the southwest waymark. If the light wave started east and north, we would place them at the northeast waymark. To position the rewinds, we have Light Party 1 players stand on the left corner of the waymark, looking out, and Light Party 2 stand on the right corner. The two tanks will place theirs out to the side of the waymark, to the left and right respectively. Once the rewinds have been placed, we need to immediately spread for Spirit Taker. There's no fixed position for this, just spread and avoid the crystal. Spirit Taker finishes, and the rewinds go off. Shiva appears at each side the light wave spawned on, knocking everyone back and doing heavy damage, mitigated by the tanks standing in front. And that's the end of Crystallize Time. It's going to take quite a few tries to really get it down.
Pain shall be fleeting, joy everlasting. As I wish it, so shall the river of time flow.
After Crystallize Time, we get another set of Archmorns. We deal with this the exact same way as the first set. And then we have another Morn Afar. Remember, they have to be within 5% of each other. And finally, we get the Enrage. If you manage to keep the crystal alive and get both bosses to 0%, you'll make it to Phase 5. And that's that. I know this took a bit longer than expected to make. I was letting it cook a bit more so strats could be consolidated, since this is the hardest phase in the fight. Phase 5 will not take anywhere near as long. It might be out tomorrow, but Chaotic also comes out, so I'll probably be doing that. Anyway, if you like this video, you can leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitch or Twitter at BigKobeLive. Good luck with this phase, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Her awakening is incomplete. Their memories weaken the link. Such impediments to our resonance must be expunged. Come to me, Hreysvalga. I shall weave a new dragon song.
I told you it would make a great necklace.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think it'll really suit you.
Me? But I thought you should have it.
Light and darkness, gather to me!
Pain sudden fleeting, joy everlasting. As I wish it, so shall the river of time flow. Light and darkness, gather to me! You endure. Another approach, then. I am yours, and you are mine.